This is Robert, and in this video I'd like to show you how to log into the PCC Linux system using a tool called PuTTY, and this is for Windows only. There's another video in this same directory that you can find if you want to log in using Mac OS X. So PuTTY is only for Windows. And in the course orientation link on D2L, I have a link there to the download page for PuTTY. So after you install and launch PuTTY, you're presented with this login window. And on PuTTY, what we do is we give it the host name or an IP address, but the host name that we want to log into for PCC is SYCC UXAS01, and so that is the machine name, and then the domain name for PCC is PCC, and then the top level domain is EDU. And then we want to leave it on port 22, and we want to make sure it's SSH. Our login and telnet are not secure. SSH stands for Secure Shell, and it is secure because all of your text will be encrypted over the internet when you do a remote login. If you want to save this session for later so you don't have to retype the host name, what you can do is you can give it a name, and you can say, okay, so PCC Linux system. I've already done that. So I'll just go ahead and save it as PCC, and so I'll click Save, and now I have PCC here, and I don't have to do the retyping if I just click Load. Let's say I'd like to log into the PSU systems. I can click here and click Load, and then that will automatically load up another system for me. So if I just click PCC and Load, then I get then it will reload the PCC Linux system. Okay, then what I need to do is click Open. And after I click Open, it's expecting my login name. And so unlike the Mac OS X way of logging in, I just give it my login name, which is the name that I use for my PCC, etc. So my PCC name is robert.martin4. Okay, it already knows the machine name, so I don't have to use the @ symbol and the machine name again. I just give it my login name. And then it's going to wait for me to type my password. And as a security feature, it is not going to display my keystrokes just in case somebody is looking over my shoulder. Even though it looks like nothing is being typed, it's actually recording my keystrokes. One of the things about the Linux system at PCC is that it will lock you out if you try and fail to log in 3 times. So if you try to log in and you've already failed twice, you might want to wait a while before you try a 3rd time and make sure that you have everything ready and you're ready to type in your password correctly, because you'll be locked out for up to 24 hours if you fail 3 times to log in. If you get locked out of the system, just let me know. Send me an email if you get locked out. So I'm going to type my password here. For you, your password, your default password is your G number. So type capital G and then the rest of your G number to log into the Linux system. So I'm going to type my password now. Okay, after I successfully type my password, I can now see that I'm logged in as robert.martin4 at SYCCUXAS01. So I have successfully logged in. If I would like to see my files, I can use the ls command, and I can see all of the files in my home directory. If I'd like to see them in list format, I can use ls-l. And now my files are listed with a little bit more information. I can see the permissions over here. I can see that this first one is a directory because it starts with a D. And then the first group is RWX. That is the owner's permission. And so my permission as Robert.Martin4, I'm the owner of that directory. So I have read, write, and execute access. So I can read it, I can see it, I can write it, which means I can change the name of this directory from A1 to something else. And then I can execute it, which means I can open that particular directory. The people in my group, which are the instructors, so here is my name as the owner of that file, and here is my group. I'm in the instructors group. You would be in the students group. That's the second group of 3 characters. So R slash or dash X right there. The instructors have the ability to read that directory, but they can't write it, so they can't change the name, and they can execute it, which means they can open it. The third group is for everybody else on the Linux system. So anybody else who can log into the Linux system can also read and execute that particular folder. Leaker.cpp, that's a C++ file, right? We know that because it has the .cpp instruction. It's not, yeah, it's a code file. It's not the actual application yet. It has to be compiled. Okay, so as the owner, I have read and write access, but it's not a directory, and I don't have the execute privilege. It's not executable, right? So I can only read it and write it. Nobody else, including the instructors and anybody else on the system, can see it, write it, or execute it. Okay, so in another video, I will show you how to use G++ to compile your program, and I'll show you another tool called Nano, which is a text editor, and so you can edit and create files on the PCC Linux system. And if you have Mac OS X, then there's another video on D2L that will show you how to log in using Mac OS X. Once your session is all done on the Linux systems, all you have to do to close the window is type exit, and then you'll be done with your remote login session.